Hello there, this is L24 Midnight News. I'm your host, Abdurrahim Kashor, and these are today's headlines. Palestinian factions signed reconciliation agreement in Algeria under the title of Algiers Declaration. Hamas, Fatah, and 12 other Palestinian groups agreed to hold legislative and presidential elections with 1 year. Iraqi parliament elects new president as rockets target green zone. The vote is the first step to forming a new government after a year of political deadlock. The sixth summit of the Conference on Interaction and Confidence Building Measures in Asia, SICA, chaired by Kazakh's President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, kicked off on Astana on Thursday. The draft of a new constitution handed to Mali's military ruler boosts the powers of the future president and rules out extensive autonomy for the country's north. Hello again and welcome. So, starting from Algeria, participants in the Gathering Conference for Palestinian Unity hosted by Algeria on Thursday signed the Algiers Declaration, which will provide a solid platform for achieving unity among the various Palestinian groups. The ceremony took place at the Palace of Nations in Algiers in the presence of the President of Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, senior state officials, members of the government and the accredited diplomatic corps. In turn, the leaders and the representatives of the Palestinian factions followed one another to sign the Declaration of Algiers for the unity and the gathering of the Palestinians. In the same line of thought, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, described the historical event, the return of the situation to normal, thanking the Palestinian factions and underlying the symbolism of the signing at the same hall where the state of Palestine was declared in October 1988.
اليوم تاريخي مثل هذا يصعب الكلام. كلمتين فقط أن نتذكر أن في منذ 40 سنة ما يقارب 40 سنة خلت في نفس القاعة وتحت نفس السقف أعلن من طرف المجاهد المناضل الشهيد أبو عمار ياسر عرفات أعلن قيام الدولة الفلسطينية. مرت بنكسات ومشاكل ومؤامرات. الحمد لله اليوم يوم تاريخي، رجعت المياه إلى مجاريها. شاكر لكل الحضور، كل المسؤولين الفلسطينيين الحاضرين بكل فصائلهم أنهم لبوا رغبة الشعب الفلسطيني في غزة والضفة والقدس والشتات، ولبوا كذلك رغبة الشعب الجزائري. هنيئا لنا. أتمنى إن شاء الله أن عن قريب نرى حقيقة قيام دولة فلسطين المستقلة كاملة الأركان في حدود جوان 67 وعاصمتها القدس الشريف. السلام عليكم.
On his part, Ismail Haniyeh, chairman of the Hamas political party, valued the prominent role of Algeria and the Algerian president, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, in achieving Palestinian unity to confront the Zionist occupation.
ليس أمامنا من كلمة
No words can describe our current feelings as Palestinians. It's certainly a day of joy and happiness in Palestine, here in Algeria, among Arab people, and for all lovers of freedom. However, it's a day of sorrow for all the Zionists. Let them be sad.
الآن في الكيان الصهيوني فليحزنوا.
Also, the Palestinian ambassador to Algeria, Faiz Abu Hitam, made a statement where he expressed his gratitude for unconditional Algerian support to the Palestinian cause.
نؤكد تقديرنا واحترامنا And here we confirm our gratitude and our respect for all the support that Algeria provides for Palestine and for the Palestinian people, a support that is in all phases and that is taking place at different levels, political, financial and moral levels. And we ask Allah that Palestinians will fulfill their wishes for the return to their homeland and to self-determination and to establish the state of Palestine, having Al-Qudus al-Sharif as its capital.
And previously we have talked to Mr. Abdel Noor Toumi, who is an expert in the Maghreb studies, about the Algerian role in the reunification of the Palestinian factions, and he had this to say.
As far as the Palestinian cause goes, for the Algerian authorities and people, it is indeed a sacrosanct and just cause. And this is because Algerians know well the meaning of harsh occupation and acculturation process because of their experience of the French colonization that lasted 132 years. So for the Algerian leaders, just immediately after the independence, did espouse quickly the Palestinian cause, helping the Palestinian political elite and people. So now for the reconciliation process between the Palestinian factions, it's not the first time that happened. It did happen in 1988, and it was pretty much in the same context that President Chadli Benjedid in 1988 did actually with his initiative, and Algeria did hold an Arab League summit. The summit's title was the Intifada, and months later, Algerian authorities did have the Palestinian factions to be together and hold their Palestinian National Council convention that led to the proclamation of the Palestinian state, which we call it today, it's Algiers Declaration. Now, President Tebboune these days is doing the same thing, trying to help the Palestinians to put their division aside and look and deliver for the Palestinian people who have been tired about their leaders' division. Actually, this reunion is a major shift in the Palestinian struggle and inside the occupied territories and internationally.
Following the signing of the Algiers Declaration that aims to unite all the Palestinian factions, several countries around the world expressed their satisfaction from the move that aims to bring all Palestinians together, united for the Palestinian cause. The relations between Algeria and Palestine have always been so close. The two countries have shared a history of struggle against colonialism, and Algeria have always expressed its support to the Palestinian cause. Nabil Khazin.
It is a unique story between the two countries. Algeria and Palestine have a shared history of struggle against oppression and colonialism, and the two countries' people not only share a brotherly relationship, but also both have strong love for liberty. The depth of the Algerian-Palestinian relations is engraved deep in the past, and Algeria has long supported the Palestinian cause. When some wanted to mute the Palestinian voices, Yasser Arafat, the then head of the Palestine Liberation Organization, took to the stage and made a historic statement before the UN General Assembly, chaired by Algeria at that time. For Algeria, Palestine has always been on top of its priorities.
المجلس الوطني يعلن باسم الله وباسم الشعب العربي الفلسطيني قيام دولة فلسطين.
In 1988, when Palestine declared its independence, Algeria was the first country in the world to officially recognize its statehood, and it was in Algiers where the announcement of the independence of Palestine was made. Like the past, like today, the unshakable commitment of Algeria to support Palestine was again clear when Algiers declared it is against the normalization of relations with the Israeli occupation. President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune said it clearly that Algeria will not follow the same path. Algeria did not miss any opportunity without emphasizing its firm and supportive position for the struggle of the Palestinian people.
President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, received the chiefs of staff of the member states of the Joint Operational Staff Committee at the National Army Club of Bni Messous, during which he affirmed Algeria's constant contribution to the establishment of political and security stability in the region. President of the Sahrawi Red Crescent praised the great support Algeria offers to the Sahrawi refugees on the sideline of the activities of the film festival in Western Sahara. The festival was attended by about 200 participants representing 20 countries, including artists, politicians, and human rights defenders.
This event was the opportunity to express our gratitude to Algeria, the hospitality of the Algerian people, and their solidarity with the Sahrawi refugees, especially in these uncertain moments and the food crisis the world is witnessing now. The Algerian food assistance represents 30% of the UN World Food Programme.
Iraqi lawmakers on Thursday elected former Minister Abdul Latif Rashid as the country's next president, defying threats of further violence following a barrage of rockets attacks earlier in the day and taking a key step toward ending a crippling political vacuum. The rocket attack delayed but did not postpone the legislative session. At least 5 people were wounded in the attack, 3 were civilians and 2 were military personnel. Lebanon's parliament on Thursday failed for a second time to elect a successor to President Michel Aoun, with some lawmakers boycotting the vote, which means the minimum number was not reached. Only 71 out of 128 lawmakers attended Thursday's session. Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri called for another vote on October 20 to take place before Michel Aoun's term finishes at the end of this month. Coming back to Algeria, Prime Minister Ayman Ben Abdulrahman received today, Thursday, at the government's palace, Carlos Tavares, CEO of the Stellantis Automobile Industry Group, who is visiting Algeria on the occasion of the signing of framework agreements that includes the development of industrial activity for vehicles and manufacture of cars for the Italian brand Fiat in Algeria. The deal covers a project for the development in Algeria of industrial after-sales and spare parts activities for Fiat, as well as the development of automotive sector in the country. Secretary General Haytham Al-Ghais will visit Algiers from October 15 to 17 to discuss global oil issues and medium and long-term viewpoints, according to a statement released by the Energy Ministry on Thursday. Haytham Al-Ghais will have talks with Algerian officials, including Sonatrach's CEO Tawfiq Hakkar. To a different matter now, the 6th summit of the Conference on Interaction and Confidence-Building Measures in Asia has started in Astana, gathering nearly 50 delegations and 11 heads of state. The summit also marked the 30th anniversary of establishment of this conference. Hussein Burkan.
The 6th summit of the Conference on Interaction and Confidence-Building Measures in Asia, chaired by Kazakh President, kicked off in Astana on Thursday. Discussions between leaders during the summit revolved around the extraordinary challenges confronting Asia, which plays a crucial role for the emergence of a multipolar world.
Today's meeting takes place against the backdrop of major changes in global politics and economics. The world is becoming truly multipolar, with Asia playing a prominent, if not key, role as new centers of power emerge. Asian countries are the driving force behind global economic growth.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, in turn, focused on the role his country plays to establish a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine, despite the difficulties on the ground.
We are all closely experiencing the effects of the crisis in Ukraine on a regional and global scale. I always say that a just peace can be established with diplomacy, but there are no winners in war and no losers in equitable peace.
During a meeting on the sideline of the regional summit, Russian President Vladimir Putin floated the idea of creating a gas hub in Turkey to his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan, considering Turkey to be the most reliable route to supply Europe with gas.
Turkey has turned out to be the most reliable route for supplies of gas to Europe today. We might consider the perspective of building yet another gas pipeline system and creating a gas hub in Turkey for sales to other countries. It would also be a platform not only for supplies, but also for determining the price.
Turkey has retained close ties with both Moscow and Kiev and has repeatedly offered to organize peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. While Russia is still pumping gas to Europe via Ukraine, the amounts of gas it is exporting have dropped dramatically, with the two Baltic pipeline out of commission.
Within the same conference, Russian President Vladimir Putin met his Palestinian counterpart Mahmoud Abbas Thursday on the sideline of the conference held in Kazakh's capital Astana. Putin received Abbas with a visible hospitality. The Palestinian president briefed his Russian counterpart on the most important developments on the Palestinian cause and discussed with him the latest development in the region and the consolidation of friendship between the two countries. NATO defense ministers are assembling in Brussels on Thursday for a second day of talks to assess the situation in Ukraine, a day after alliance committed to deliver more air defense supplies to the country. At a joint news conference with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin affirmed that the United States is committed to Article 5.
Very strong message from the international community yesterday. The vote in the UN was a clear condemnation of the illegal annexation of Ukrainian territories and a clear call on Russia, President Putin, to reverse these decisions and to respect the territorial integrity of Ukraine.
The United States is absolutely committed to its Article 5 commitments, and we are committed to defending every inch of NATO's territory if and when it comes to that.
The draft of a new constitution handed to Mali's military ruler bolsters the powers of the future president and rules out extensive autonomy for the country's north. The draft ruled out the idea of federation, according to Fussaini Samak, head of the committee drafting the document. It is worth mentioning that revising constitution is a key part of plans by military leader Colonel Assimi Goita to stay in power until 2024 and then handing it over to civilian rule. And now for more international news, let's follow this roundup.
At least a dozen civilians were killed Thursday in central Mali when the bus carrying them exploded on an explosive device, said a police officer and a representative of a local association. The policeman, speaking on condition of anonymity, reported 10 dead and many seriously injured and clarified that this was a provisional assessment. Despite a rocket attack on Baghdad's Green Zone, Iraqi lawmakers Thursday elected a new president, who swiftly named the prime minister in hopes of ending a year of political gridlock and violence. The new president swiftly named Shiite politician Mohammed Shia al-Sudani as prime minister designated. Lebanese President Michel Aoun has announced his country's acceptance of the US-brokered maritime border deal with Zionists, saying talks has come to a positive end. The deal represents a historic achievement in which Lebanon regains 86 square kilometers of disputed maritime territory in the Mediterranean Sea that is home to offshore gas field, Aoun said on Thursday. The U.S. House of Representatives Committee investigated the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, voted on Thursday to subpoena Donald Trump, an action that could eventually result in the former president's imprisonment if he does not comply.
Ending up with this roundup, let's have a reminder for our main top stories. Palestinian factions sign reconciliation agreements in Algeria under the title of Algiers Declaration. Hamas, Fatah, and 12 other Palestinian groups agreed to hold legislative and presidential elections within 1 year. Iraqi parliament elects a new president as Iraq's target green zone. The vote is the first to stop forming a new government after a year of political deadlock. The 6th summit of the Conference of Interaction and Confidence Building Measures in Asia, CICA, chaired by Kazakh's President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, kicked off in Astana on Thursday. The draft of a new constitution handed to Mali's military rule boosts the power of the future president and rules out extensive autonomy for the country's north. That's all we have for now. Thank you so much for being with us. For more updates, you can follow our social media platform as well as the AL24 official website. For now, good night.